My name is Robin Hoyles. I'm the Group Land and Planning Director at Crest Nicholson. I've been with Crest about 8 years, so I joined the company at about the same time that we began working on this site. We've always seen its potential, but we are truly proud of the application you're considering this evening, and I first of all would like to thank your officers and the Crest team for all the hard work they've put in to get our application to this stage. Throughout the time which we have been developing the master plan, we've worked collaboratively with the council, and this has been greatly to the benefit of the final scheme. We've always sought to incorporate the ideas and aspirations of local residents and you, their representatives, and certainly the feedback we've received regarding earlier phases of Sovereign Gate and Grangebrook have been entirely positive. Those developments have shown not only that we build homes of an exemplary quality, but when we do receive a planning permission, we get on and build it. We have over 75 letters of support for this current application and already have a list of people who are interested in buying the homes as a result of our extensive consultation exercise. We believe that part of this is because as a company we work hard to become part of the communities in which we develop, and Cheshunt is no exception. We've already contributed over £2 million to the building of the brand new and exceptional clubhouse at Rosedale Sports Club, and we'll be providing further funding as a result of this application to enable the draining and levelling of the pitches. We will also be handing over a 3.8 hectare field to the club in perpetuity so that it can continue to expand to meet demand. Rosedale Park North will also provide a new village hub which will include a community centre with the potential to include healthcare uses within it, a care home and shops. Crest will be responsible for delivering a new 2-form entry primary school with nursery, which we will be jointly funding with others. New pedestrian and cycle routes will be provided throughout to connect the new homes to surrounding communities, all for the benefit of both existing and new residents. However, for us, the real highlight of the scheme is the new open space. The proposal delivers 19 hectares of open space, which equates to over 50% of the total site. It's the size of over 18 international rugby pitches. And the jewel in the crown is the new linear park. This will provide a range of new play spaces and enhanced access to Rags Brook and a connection to the surrounding countryside. We've also included a new community orchard and meadow spaces to support new wildlife and additional woodland areas to maintain a distinction between the identities of St James and West Cheshunt. It really will be an attraction for residents from across the whole borough. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for working with us over the years and for all your input, which I hope you recognise in the final designs. I hope you will support our application this evening. We have spent a long time working on the plans, so now we really want to get on and make them a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoyles. Okay, what we'll do now, we'll go on to the item 2, and we'll let Mr. Cow do a presentation on that, and then we'll do item 3, and when we've done that we'll have a debate.
Thirdly, there are no exceptional circumstances that are being put forward, let alone very special circumstances that I've never heard of, which would mean that the land should be removed from the...
At this point, my camera decided to switch itself off, hence this break. So a few minutes have been lost, but please continue to listen.
Whilst it's an outline application, we're looking at transport needs for the future. Something that I've been concerned with developments is that they are of an open nature, and the brief seems to suggest that here, that there will be large tracts of land that will be formalised for public access. I know that some greenbelt land, whilst it's greenbelt, it's not accessible to the public, so I'm pleased about that. But could I also add that if this should go ahead, that we take alternative forms of transport seriously, like cycling, and possibly integrate proper cycle routes and really take hold of this situation with how we're going to get ourselves around in the future. May I also add that another concern is that there are lots of hills and dips and valleys that there is a confidence that any river flooding may well be, with technology dealt with, so that this doesn't dump itself on other areas of Chesham, bearing in mind that if it does go ahead, a lot of the open absorbent ground will be built on, but I feel sure that it will be done. I just need an assurance that there is technology to sort that.
I think the two main points that you raised about accessibility and the flood risk, taking the accessibility first, there has been a plan which isn't appended here, which is a draft plan which shows a hierarchy of cycling and walking routes going from sort of adoptable standards, which will be the north-south route up to the school, and sort of a cross route, and going down to more informal paths which will then go through the open space and link more locally. So that it is something which is taken seriously and will form part of the future reserve matters, as will be bolted down as part of the final approval. We consulted the Environment Agency, which designates areas of flood risk, and they have no objection to the drainage into Rags Brook. They have suggested an 8-metre buffer zone either side of it in terms of ecological enhancement and routes for wildlife, and also works to get rid of invasive species pushing around there, but they don't object, is the short answer.
Okay, right, okay, next we've got Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In these presentations, there's been mention of medical centres. To me, I'm just trying to get my head round it. A medical centre as in something like the Chesham Cottage Hospital, or are we talking of a doctor's surgery?
The floor space from recollection is, I think, 250 square metres, which will be reserved in the Rosedale Park North, and that would probably be something like, if it is taken by doctors, it would be something of the scale of a single doctor's surgery.
Councillor Izat.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Following on from Councillor Taylor's remark, it does worry me, page A54 of the report, stating if no medical use is forthcoming. Now, the community use, I mean, what sort of community use are we talking about? Are we talking about some sort of religious sense where people pray for a cure if they can't get to a doctor's? It does cause me great concern. Is there any update on that from the officers? Because it's a serious concern.
I think that the intention of the allocation and of the planning application is to try and have it's a much abused word, a sustainable site with facilities set within it, including the school and the shops, and potentially a medical facility as well. If it's unclear at the moment whether the NHS would take that unit, so all that can be done is that the planning permissions, if they are forthcoming, reserve it for a medical use for a period of time, and the fallback from that would be a community use, which could be something along the lines of a day nursery or something similar which is needed in the area. It's a space which is reserved but we can't be guaranteed in the absence of a formal response on the medical use.
One question. Page 845, you've shown an open space. Now, the officer suggested a resolution protecting these open spaces. Is there going to be any special designation for this particular open space on this page or A45? Because you made clear that it wasn't going to be of a similar nature of parkland as perhaps the other open spaces were. So is it going to be defined as something like a green lung within the area, or something of that nature?
There's a designation within the local plan called local green space, and there's a protection against that local green space. But the ultimate protection of these areas will be through the Lands Trust. The Lands Trust is a charity. It looks after open space very well. And they will own it as well. So that is the proposition for all three developments. They will transfer those areas to the Lands Trust, and they will maintain that open space in perpetuity. And over the top of that will be planning policy, which will also protect it.
Thank you, Chair. I've got two questions, really. The first one of my concerns is infrastructure, the whole area of infrastructure. And certainly, hearing the comments about the proposed medical facility, it could not happen. There's no guarantee that a medical facility will be provided. It will be dependent on NHS England to decide what they want to do. And a development this size, without any guaranteed medical facility, is a concern to me. And secondly, in the presentation from the Home Office, mention was made of special circumstances, and I thought that was going to be elaborated on, but could I just ask what, in planning terms, are the special circumstances to release these areas from the green belt?
In terms of, well, the first point which you made in terms of the medical facility, it's difficult or perhaps impossible to compel another public body to do something if they don't wish to. And the best a council can do essentially is have a space offered, probably a shell and core building, and if the NHS chooses to have super centres or some other form of delivery of local primary care, then that will be where it sits, I fear. In terms of the special circumstances, I think they are set out in the report, but it's really they are relevant to each site, so there's no sort of overarching one, apart from the fact that they are part of the allocation, but it's not so much that as the nature of the schemes as a sustainable urban extension, and the quality of the schemes and the impact on the environment, say in terms of the glasshouse site at Tudor Nurseries. It's the physical improvement of the site on top of that. So it hangs together as, you might say, a special circumstances because of the overall quality and benefit of the scheme which comes forward, including the open space, which is going to be a new publicly accessible park.
Can I just come back to the health centre again? Because I think that is, for me, a crucial issue, that health services in the borough are under pressure already. And anybody who tries to get GP appointments will make 2 or 3 work. And to add a major development, and I'm sure we've got reasons, without any almost guarantee, and I'll take the opposite point, we can't dictate to NHS to build, but I think we do need to take cognizance of the fact that there's going to be substantial development without any health centres in the immediate area. And where will people go for health provision, given the fact that health services already in the borough are under pressure? Perhaps that's not a planning issue, but I think we don't need to
I think the issue that there is, see, they can make a facility available at this time if we choose to move down that route. Councillor Cocking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got questions around transport and education, but I'll probably like to come back in that later as well. Okay. If I start with the transport, you mentioned, Doug, in your speech that obviously
maintenance schemes. I just wanted assurances, because in the second application 30% of the land is going to be let, and in particularly on the third application there's a huge sort of bordering, which again is nice to see, but my question...
Please go to part 3. Thank you.